In 2004, 2005, 2006, the city of Easton experienced significant flooding along the Delaware River Basin. The city of Easton is located at the confluence of the Lehigh and Delaware Rivers and the Bushkill Creek. Our downtown is kind of at the epicenter of all of that. And while some people rebuilt after the first flood and then rebuilt again after the second flood, they started to shake their heads a little bit when it came to the third flood. And the consequences, both social, economic, community, were huge from each one of those floods. So we started to look at our regulatory environment. And in 2007, we adopted a comprehensive system of what we call smart growth codes, which included everything from our floodplain ordinance, which now we regulate the 500-year floodplain, as well as the 100-year floodplain, because we realized that we needed to protect those lands that lead up to the FEMA-defined 100-year floodplain. But it also included things like slope regulations and planting schemes, as well as things as parking and cellular tower locations, because we learned not to jeopardize people we had to manage our floodplain a little bit better. The new regulations regulate land sometimes 15 to 30 feet higher than the 100-year floodplain. So a significant amount of property is now included in those new regulations. And the reason for this is obvious. Those lands were getting inundated, and you want to reduce the amount of damage that can happen to property and lives during flood events, which will happen again. These aren't the first 3 floods that have happened in Easton. They've happened periodically over time, some to a greater extent than others. But now I feel that we're able to clean up after a flood instead of having to rebuild after a flood. As a result of the 2004, 2005, 2006 floods and the regulatory reform that we did as a result of that, we learned that we just have to face our problems. You can't walk away from them. You have to kind of tackle them head on and figure out what's best for your town, I guess. And in our case, it was to regulate the 500-year floodplain as well as the 100-year floodplain. And as a result, we're more economically viable, I believe. We have greater tourist and transportation opportunities than we've had before. And we're safer, which is so important.